Hey, it's Dr. Tiffany here, and we are now in our third video in this series talking about your child's best brain. More importantly, though, I'm hoping that you're learning some things about ADHD, executive function, and focus and attention. So even if you decide this is not the program for you, you have now hopefully had your eyes open about the things that contribute to a growing healthy brain. And I mentioned in the last video about being at a choice point. Going the natural holistic route, looking at root causes of brain destabilization, things that are brain blockers that make the brain unhappy versus these brain builders, which is a little bit of what we're going to talk about here. It's a whole different approach than, okay, let's put your kid on Adderall and let's send them to a therapist and let's ignore the fact that they have sensory issues, that the tags bother them, that they don't seem to have any coordination, and that they were late with their speech. They were a late bloomer. Let's ignore all that. That's a different path. Okay? And I wanna let that weigh in pretty heavily, because I do think if more people were educated and informed about how a brain builds itself, we might not even have some of the struggles that we have. And the medication, if it were used, would come later. Okay. So I don't think anyone's a bad parent for going the medication route. I know that no one's informed. No one's informed about all of this stuff. Okay. So that's why I'm doing what I'm doing. And I just feel passionately that my program is not supposed to be limited to the blessed few that have access to the time and resources and all of that to get in with me individually every week, sometimes multiple times a week, right? This is something I want to offer to more and more people, and then create a community of people that can support each other. So let's talk about this next module, and I am looking at my program here. I told you that we were touching on modules 2 and 3 in the last video when we were talking about the brainstem and then the cerebellum. And then you would be treating the cerebellum and midline, so core strength, as part of what you're assessing. So module 2 and 3 is testing all of that and then treating it, okay? And that's a multi-sensory experience. You're going to be using essential oils, colored flashing lenses. You're going to be integrating with red light therapy. You might need a vibe plate. Some of my parents are using interactive metronomes at home, or they're using a mimic of, like, a knockoff version of interactive metronome at home. You're going to have some sort of vibration to activate different areas of the spine and the face. You're going to have all kinds of exercises and ab exercises that you're going to need to do to integrate the primitive reflexes and to balance the cerebellum and to strengthen the core. So that's what that looks like. So there's videos for this, and there's coaching in the group for this. I've been doing this for the last few years in my office, but none of it's new. The Melillo method is based on a lot of this. Occupational therapists do this. Interactive metronome has been around since the late 90s. All of these things are established. What's unique about your child's best brain is I'm combining all of it. That's not combined. You have someone who does occupational therapy over here, and you have someone who does supplements over here, and you'll have someone who does diet over there. I am integrating all this, and that's what makes my program so unique and gives it value for you, okay? Next, you're going to learn in Module 4 how to navigate your child's brain. OMG. Okay, so we're going to be talking about what ADHD is and what it isn't, what focus and attention really is about and what it is not. So there's going to be a lot of education on what dopamine does in the brain, that reward center. Your kid is often going to be the child who's bored, looking for things to do, or has a kind of a maybe a transactional incentive-based need for inspiring them, kind of like what's in it for me and my brain, a kind of attitude about executing on things. And it's understanding where there's a willfulness and psychological piece versus this is just the neurology. They're constantly forgetting and needing to be reminded. Is that them being willful? Or is that just the ADHD? I'm going to educate you on that. We're going to talk about ADHD age versus the actual age. I want you to make a note that an ADHD child has is a 30% younger brain than a neurotypical child. Okay, so an ADHD brain, or one that's struggling with focus and attention, they are 30% younger than a neurotypical one that is not struggling with focus and attention. And that manifests in what you see emotionally, that manifests in what you see them able to accomplish. And this has nothing to do with IQ at all. You can have some of the brightest minds in society have had ADHD. Steve Jobs was rumored to have had ADHD. The gentleman behind the Virgin Airlines, Steve Branson, I think I'm combining names now, but you know who I'm talking about. I have no notes or cue cards, obviously. But Richard Branson, there we go. My brain came through. Is also an ADHDer. That's part of why Virgin Airlines struggled a little bit for quite a while there. But many successful people had ADHD and then eventually got the right supports for their ADHD brain, because that's the way a brain behind like Virgin Airlines can eventually be successful, is it needs the right supports. I'm going to talk to you about an externalized prefrontal cortex and what to do with a brain that's emotionally 30% younger than its chronological age, right? So sometimes we've got parents who don't send their kids off to college right away because of that 30% difference, all right? And then emotion coaching is amazing. It's a type of communication style with your ADHD child. It's not another parenting technique. It's about how to communicate with an ADHD brain, but it's not specifically for ADHD parents. I use emotion coaching with my eating disorder clients and their families, and my ADHD clients and their families, because it's a validating plus problem solving technique. And I find that when it comes to ADHD, that validation step is super important, or an ADHD brain will feel quite invalidated. Okay, let's see. Yeah, and then dopamine boosters. That's the other thing, knowing what a dopamine booster is and a dopamine blocker. So some of the things that you would do with a neurotypical child is a great way to block dopamine in an ADHD brain, or a brain that's struggling with focus and attention. So you want to know how to boost versus block. Okay. All right. So that's what we're talking about. And again, if that sounds like something you need in your life and you wish you'd known for your child, then consider this program, because you're going to have this blueprint of all these different things to help your child be successful. All right. I look forward to talking to you about the next module, which is going to be feeding your child's best brain, one of my favorite topics to go over. I'll see you in the next video.